Okay, as you can see here, I have finished priming all the parts, all the dark bluish parts, and just reviewing each and every one of these parts. Make sure that all of them are covered up. Some of them are lightly faded in the priming, while others are not nicely neat and complete. But this is pretty much, you know, what needs to be done to, of course, prime a kit before painting a different color. Also, another reason why we want to prime is because you want to at least cover up all the scratches and scuff marks. This is something that has happened on many of my kits before. But you know, it's part of the part of the work that you put into when you prime these kits. Now, I want to address a comment that, or actually no, not a comment. It was basically an a email that was sent to me by someone, and I'm trying to find the message, and for the life of me I can't seem to find it. Where is it? It was in... Forgive me for the person who sent me the message, but he sent the message saying I primed my parts of my kit and it pulled up bubbles at the after it dried. Why did that happen, and how do I get rid of it? So when you spray paint primer, obviously primer is something that you do not want to go all over the place or too close or too continuous, because it will build up, and then when it builds up it's kind of hard to wipe off. You want to let it dry out so that way later on you could sand it down. Perfect example is this guy here. Let me bring the camera down so you guys can see this. So here the priming came out perfect here on this side, but on this side there's a little bit of extra sediment from the primer. Using a number 800 brush, sanding stick, I'm gonna sand it down a bit more to smooth it out. Now, to the point where if it doesn't smooth out right, like you have that little ball thing right there, that little open gap, I'm probably gonna end up, and let me just remove it from here, sand it down further to the point where I'm gonna probably remove the entire primer. So I'm going to use 400. It'll be a lot easier that way and quicker. That little part doesn't want to go, but might as well get rid of the whole thing. Now, once I'm done with this, I'm just going to repass it again. And like all other airbrushes and spray paints, you do not want to do a continuous shot unless it's very light on your airbrush. You want to do short control bursts. So a couple of dabs there, so it saturates it pretty well, very lightly, and then let it dry, and then that gets rid of all the unwanted extra sediment, because extra primer that's on it, and also the bubbles. So priming takes time, and it is a bit time consuming. So be mindful of what you're doing when you're priming these parts. Now, one last thing that I want to cover, and this is something that I hope you guys enjoy. Remember these, where I mentioned that these yellow gold parts go here in between the edges, there and there? No reason for me to actually use this, considering that I want to paint this gold to match the gold parts that I painted on the other parts. I could easily probably try to cover the whole thing and leave those exposed, and then spray it again so that way only those are caught. That will be time consuming and redundant. However, I do have this. For those of you who remember, my metallic gold marker, when I used it on the full, on the Strike Freedom full burst mode kit, I'm going to paint over these right here. One here, one there. And come around here. Think of it as panel lining. There we go. Now, you guys are probably telling me, well, not great. All I need now is to cover up each end with the with Tamiya's masking tape, then paint over it the color that I want. But then I said to myself, you know what? I don't have to cut it. I have these. I'll wait until this dries. I'll carefully remove these and plant them on each one because it fits perfectly to each one. Then I'll spray paint it and over it. So there you go. I got everything covered here. Let's begin painting all these colors wine red. Okay, so I'm now ready to begin painting wine red, as you can see right here, number 100. And let's begin with the smaller parts here. That came out really nice. It's a nice texture to it. Don't want to oversaturate it, so just put it there to dry. Nice color. By the way, these smaller parts represents the part of the claw. The claw arm. This one here. Of course, this kit is giving me deja vu, considering that I built the full armored version of this guy. Master Grade, that is. So kind of so mentally used to this kit. Even though that joint is not going to be shown that much, I just want to get it out of the way. Parts of the beam saber. Skirts. This is the cover of the skirt armor from the rear, which covers the thruster. I have to admit, the shade of red is amazing, but it's also leaving something that I'm not happy with. It's kind of hard to explain. We'll just have to leave it the way it is for now. I'll revisit later on. Part of the crown. Get every nook and cranny on these kits, on these parts, because then you never know if the edges comes out white on one end and doesn't look like it came out all the way through. This one I don't mind if the inside is, actually I do mind what I'm talking about. Some parts I have to put together like this. These are the parts of the arm. I want to make sure that they're both evenly painted. When they dry, I'll just take them apart. And then put them together during the assembly phase. Okay, you guys are pretty much understanding where I'm going with this kit. I'm gonna finish it up more, finish up the remaining parts, and then we'll review the parts once it dries.